When something doesn't work out, pain usually isn't the outcome. It's what you make the outcome mean about you. So, today we're talking about the identity wound that turns a setback into a self attack and how to use it as a mirror without spiraling. Welcome back to Unapologetically Empower. I'm Jennifer Damascus, and this month we're talking about what happens when things don't work out as expected, because that's where your leadership gets revealed. So in episode 37, we talked about the frustration and the law of the lid. It's your capacity to stay in authority under stress. Last episode, we talked about forcing it and the law of process, or leading the process daily instead of trying to dominate the outcome. But today, we're going to talk about the moment after the moment. It's the moment where you're sitting there with the result you did not want, and your brain starts writing a story. And we're going to match this to a Maxwell law that can either humble you or free you, depending on how you use it. It's called the law of the mirror. So Maxwell teaches you that you attract who you are, not what you want. My translation is life reflects the identity you're living from, especially under stress. Not because you're being punished, not because you're doing it wrong, but because the mirror shows you what's still running the show. So let's name the wound that gets activated when things don't work out. I call it the identity wound, and it often overlaps with a rejection wound. So it's the part of you that learned, if it didn't work, it means I'm not enough. If they didn't choose me, it means I'm unworthy. If I failed, it means I am a failure. And in everyday terms, it sounds like I should be further by now. Everybody else has it figured out. I'm so behind. I'm not cut out for this. I always mess it up. I knew it. I knew I couldn't trust myself. This wound doesn't just hurt, it hijacks your leadership. Because instead of learning, you start performing. Instead of adjusting, you start proving. Instead of staying in authority, you start negotiating your worth. Let's make this painfully practical. A mirror moment is when something happens, and your nervous system doesn't just register the event. It registers a threat to your identity. So here are common mirror moments. You launch something and it doesn't convert. You post something and it flops. You get a no from a client, a partner, a job, an opportunity. You don't get the promotion. You get feedback that stings. You have a hard conversation and it doesn't go the way you rehearsed. You try to change a pattern and you fall back into it. And then the identity wound steps in and says, see, this is who you are. That's the moment the mirror becomes dangerous, because you stop seeing reality. You start seeing a verdict. And here's the line I want you to borrow. The outcome is data. It's not a diagnosis. So data says this message didn't land. This strategy needs adjusting. This audience isn't warmed. This conversation needs a different approach. A diagnosis says, I'm not good at this. I'm not credible. I'm not chosen. I'm too much or not enough. And your identity wound loves living with a diagnosis because they feel like certainty. But certainty isn't leadership. It's often just protection. So let's talk about Maxwell's law of the mirror. Again, the classic line is, you attract who you are, not what you want. Now, I want to be careful here. This is not about blaming yourself for everything. It's not manifestation guilt. It's not, if you were better, you'd get better outcomes. It's about power. Because if life is reflecting the identity you're living from, then you can change the identity. And that means setbacks become information about what you believe you deserve, what you believe is safe, what you believe you have to do to be loved, what you believe you have to do to be respected. The mirror isn't here to shame you. The mirror is here to reveal you. So here's what the identity wound looks like in everyday leadership. You over-explain your decisions so no one can misunderstand you. You avoid visibility because you don't want proof you're not enough. You take silence personally, such as no reply equals a rejection. You make one setback mean the whole plan is wrong. You compare your beginning to someone else's middle. You seek external certainty before you'll move. It's validation, permission, guarantees. And you punish yourself to stay motivated. But here's the cost. You stop being in relationship with reality. You start being in relationship with your fear. So I want to give you a simple audit you can do the next time something doesn't work out. This is how you use the mirror without spiraling. And one important note before you do this, if you're still activated, if you're spinning tight, flooded, or in a panicky urgency, you need to regulate first. Even 60 to 90 seconds, a long exhale, feet on the ground, shoulders down. Then come back to the audit. So the audit, the first step is you need to name the event. Again, one sentence, keep it clean. It's, this offer didn't sell. This person didn't choose me. This conversation didn't go how I wanted. No adjectives, no identity language, just the event. Then the second step is name the meaning your brain assigned. Examples I'm going to give you. I'm making this mean I'm not credible. I'm making this mean I'm behind. I'm making this mean I am unlovable. I'm making this mean I can't trust myself. And this is where the wound lives. And the third step is asking an authority question. So after finding where the wound lives, now ask, if this were just data, what would it be telling me to adjust? So instead it would sound like my message needs to be clear. My audience needs more warming. My boundary needs to be firmer. My expectations were unrealistic. I need to build skill here, not shame. And this is process leadership meeting mirror leadership. So here's what I want you to take with you this week. When things don't work out, the mirror shows you what's still running the show, not to shame you, to free you. And this week, practice the mirror audit. Name the event, name the meaning, ask what the data is asking you to adjust. And remember, the outcome is data. It's not a diagnosis. Next episode, we're going to be talking about what happens when you're not chosen, when you don't get picked, promoted, selected, prioritized. And we'll match that to the wound underneath it and the Maxwell law that helps you hold solid ground without self-abandoning. Thank you for being here with me during this time. I'll see you next week on Unapologetically in Power.